Hi,
Hello,
everybody.
everyone.
Welcome back to our weekly Q&A. We are here today with the lovely Anita. Welcome, Anita.
Thank
And
you.
Crystal and myself, of course. So we apologize. There was another thumbnail and live that was posted, but it was the wrong StreamYard account. And so we've rectified that and it will not happen again. But unfortunately, I think some people were waiting on a different link, and that one is no longer there. So hopefully we'll get a few people. Oh, we've got one. Hello there.
Good morning, you guys.
One person has found us at the new link. So let's practice, maybe start off today. Anita has shown us that she's created this new deck of her own, and she's already pulled, is it 3 cards from that deck, Anita?
I did. I shuffled them back. Oh, actually, no, I found them again. First, I'll show you the back. Is my
Good morning,
there's the back of my deck.
Oh, beautiful.
Then here's an example of some of the cards you'll see. So Phoenix Rising.
Yeah.
And False Matrix. That one's pretty simple, straightforward. Then there's Speak Your Truth. So there's lots of cards like that in there. And if we want to pull for what the message is for everyone at this time while people find our links, we can
do that. I said to Anita, oh, everybody's going to want your deck now. You better produce it and get it up on the website.
So far it's hand drawn and painted, but you know, we'll see.
Good day.
Welcome.
Hi, Ethan. Hi, Janice. All right, let's see. Overall, for everybody going forward this week, ooh, we've got some violet energy. So up into the third eye chakra. That pineal gland.
When you first said it, I thought you said violent energy.
Oh, no. So, but you can clear up and transmute and alchemize violent energy with violet energy.
That's exactly what I was feeling when you said that. I was like, oh, we're looking at transmuting. There's a lot of violent threats being thrown around right now in the media, politically, the military industrial complex worldwide. The controllers are still having their screaming matches, and it is pretty daunting on a lot of levels. So I love that the violet is something that can, like, I think of the color violet as peace, like very calming. And it's almost like it's got the groundingness of the red and then the peaceful, I want to say expansiveness of the blue, the calming energy. So beautiful.
And that you picked up on that wording. It's like this continuation of the things that we've been talking about around words and language, and being mindful and aware, not paranoid, but being aware and making those connections. Isn't that interesting that violet is close to violent? And in that dichotomy, as we're clearing out of dualistic living and thinking, how that can be the answer within the problem or the issue, right there.
Amazing.
Okay. And I shuffled the cards, but guess what came back up for everyone to know moving forward? This
the
Phoenix Rising energy is very potent. So that's probably why it was what I, had pulled before, really showing we're in this time of transformation. Again, transforming language, or even the awareness of what we're doing, bringing on that transformation within, the energy, the ripples that it sends out. And the next part that came up was discernment, right? So taking a close look at when we're going into autopilot, when we're getting into that default mode of not really being present and looking and being aware of what's happening, what's going on, what information are we consuming that we're that is then guiding us. And it's tricky, you know, discernment is something, it's when we know how much we've been manipulated and oppressed,
Mhm.
to really find our true intuition again, to really, and it's a combination of doing that cerebral research and then tuning in and seeing where does that land. And it's okay if we've been wrong in the past,
Mm.
because that was, you know, as that card before, that was the false matrix. That was part of
Yes.
what was programmed into us. But our intuition is waking up, you know, we're the transforming, we're the phoenix rising. And
Mhm.
so when we bring discernment on where are we going to put our energy moving forward, and what is the card that about moving forward is unique unicorn. So
Oh, yeah.
you know, that we're each this unique and magical beings, but together we come to the energy, the synergy of us moving together and learning that and feeling that. So we can feel our
Mhm.
specialness a non-egoic way, but that
Yes.
we are each special. We have our gifts to share and shine. And there's a time that I actually shied away from anything unicorn, thinking it was too childish, too girly, too there was a lot of things that I was like, ugh. And I've recently re-embraced it as the magical. Well, I loved unicorns growing up, and I enjoyed um, the always the magicalness of it. I'm like, to me, they exist, and so I do feel like that's another dimensional frequency piece that we're yet to experience and have revealed. So
Mhm.
bringing that back in feels really good at this time over this last years. And so this is a lovely energy looking at these cards for what we're moving through, even
Mhm.
though the phoenix rising and that transformation can be challenging. As
Yeah.
we hear all the time, it's like what it doesn't take sometimes just to get our head up off the pillow in the
Mhm.
morning, because there it's so much when we're going through transformation. And that's
Mhm.
why the phoenix really symbolizes how, you know, we're just crumbling everything away that doesn't serve, and we
Mhm.
are rising from those ashes, that so there's
Mhm.
still that essence, the true essence is still there, but where everything else is like the whew, freedom,
Yeah.
light energy. Mhm.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Anita. And
Thank
I
you for
love your
sharing that
cards.
with us. Me too.
I love like just how poignant and dramatically simple they are in a way.
Mhm.
It's like, and those are words, so far what you've shown us. It'd be
Yes.
awesome for you to draw at, you know, every week that we get together, because it'd be nice to see the rest of the deck at some point. But those
Mhm.
you know, when you're talking about discernment and using the different parts of your awareness or attunement or perception. I just had this incredible conversation with a young woman this morning, and she was talking about like, where does intelligence come from in our brain? And, you know, she's 20 years old. It's so awesome. Like, what a great way of thinking about reality. And
Mhm.
we were discussing how I work with what I call whole brain intelligence, which means that there's the part of our brain, it's actually the right hemisphere of our brain, which connects to our subconscious, and it's connected to all our senses. So she was saying, you know, yeah, that oldest part of our brain that's very sense oriented has been gathering information for eons. It's like just taking in the awareness of reality through all the senses, and all the senses making sense
Mm.
of those inputs, right?
Mm.
And then the rational mind's job is not to like form a like definitive opinion that's forever, right? It's not about like, this is the truth. It's
Mm.
about, okay, based on what I'm being presented with right now from the subconscious, these are some truths,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Like
And
the awareness that we're ready for. at that time.
Exactly. It's the truths that are relevant. This is what I talk about. You know, I'm working on this dowsing course that I'm going to be putting up on the Beyond Mystic platform. You can see the connection to my my offerings on Beyond Mystic at the links below. And that's going to go up on the Beyond Mystic platform on the 21st of October. And it's all about learning to tune in with the subconscious mind, and then almost getting the messages directly from the subconscious, which is taking in all that whole brain sensory information. So it's so much more accurate of a form of discernment. And, you know, sometimes it takes the conscious mind by surprise. It's like, what? Like, this is actually what I should be focusing on, or this is actually what has meaning at this moment. Or I thought I knew what was happening, but my body and all my senses have a deeper knowing. So I think we're going to learn about discernment in learning to listen to our deeper instinctual emotional intelligence. And doesn't happen overnight, right? We've been so conditioned to think with our left brain, like analytical problem solving, like just get to the truth, get to the bottom line, and then form a consensus on that is irrevocable. Like, you know, we're still arguing about scientific data that was presented like 100 years ago, and people are still holding fast and not willing to acknowledge that there's new information that's come through, right? Even new proof of stuff. And even still, people are clinging to these old truths. So interesting.
Yeah, we're moving into the quantum, right? That people still look at Newtonian old school physics that's very linear and not relevant. It might have served at a point, but it's no longer the model, the go-to model for us anymore. So
totally
expanding out of that. Yeah.
Cool. So we've got a few people coming in. Gregory. Paul, yeah, lovely to see you. And please bring your
Australia. Lovely.
Yeah, please bring your questions to us because we're ready to roll here. I'm going to shuffle and clear the deck a bit.
Maybe see what you guys see for this week coming up as well.
Okay, we'll have a quick little look at, even for just today's conversation and discussion. Let's have a look and see what is being brought forward as important for us to discuss.
Yeah, so much shifting energy. I know we've talked about this and we've seen it in so many in sessions when we're working with people and with ourselves. I know with both of you, with myself, my family, there's a lot of transitionary, Phoenix rising energy, because it isn't just the change, it's this really scrubbing the energy change that, there we go. Some tower energy happening too.
Yeah. So, all that rises must fall. All that falls rises again. Like this energy of, this brings to mind where we look at the cycles of things in nature, and we look at the cycles of things of human creation. Like civilizations have an average cycle of around 250 years. There's cycles for war and for basically cultural transformation around belief systems and values. And so we're clearly kind of pushing to the end of a lot of these cycles. And this, I think, is what's unique about this time is we are, a lot of cycles are wrapping up.
Yeah,
we
really are on a path to victory, I feel like. And that's what this Six of Wands is saying. And I think with so many people waking up and coming into such a deep inner awareness and awareness of what's around them, there's this like feeling that we need to be like doing it all at once and really like becoming everything and stepping into this new world. And we're actually really needing to take baby steps, because we take a couple of steps forward, and then all of a sudden this, you know, the 5 energy comes back in again and takes over the mind, or you have all these internal thought battles and you're like, I thought I was there and then I wasn't, and what is happening? And it's just like all this 5 energy that keeps coming in is that invitation again and again to upgrade and allow all of these old systems to fall. And these little baby steps that we're taking are absolutely victorious all along the way.
And sometimes they're giant leaps, not just the baby steps, but
I'm just noticing, yeah, I just wanted to say that Janice is saying, I feel a beautiful tower coming. We are ready.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
I love it.
And then Ethan put a question in there for us. Yeah.
In the spirit of Libra season, what is an area we collectively need to be finding more balance in going forward? Yeah, thank you, Ethan. I mean, this is what came up for my forecast on Beyond Mystic this last week was balance, balance, balance. This, of course, it's not surprising, as you say, Libra season, but it was balance in every area almost of our lives. There's a 2. There's a 2. There was, I think, 4 2s or something in that forecast for this week, which is pretty rare that you get that many 2s. Yeah, sure.
I have a Mars in Libra. I feel really drawn to Libra energy, so I'm going to put some in there for us as well here.
And I have a Libra rising.
There we go.
Do you have Libra in your chart, Anita?
I don't know my chart that well enough. I think more of people who I know when I tune into, and then what I see in them, as we're all reflections of one another, what I see in them, and then when I go, oh, what part of me is like that Libra part, or yeah. But I did pull on the question, and the first part that I went to is blue energy, which is kind of what I'm working with for like chakra system, right? So this is truth speaking.
Yeah.
And then what came up again, now this is interesting because both the Phoenix and the discernment card came up like a few times when shuffling already here. So we're really getting that reminder of that helps bring us our balance, because we are the lens that we perceive everything through. So where are we going to take it? Are we going to be like, escalate? Or are we going to be like, wow, you know, take a deep breath. That was really powerful. That's strong energy, but we're not getting swept away, where it's like stepping out and observing and taking that breath, the expansion that we're always talking about, right? That allows that balance, just a little more expansion instead of it being this balancing act, the 2s, but in just allowing, getting into that collaborative space, moving it into a 3, let's say, if we're getting into collaborative space, right? Moving the needle.
As I watch your body language, Anita, what I see is, as you're saying, you know, the balance. And then when you say moving, your heart comes forward. So it's like we take it all into consideration. And when you said swept away, I mean, just look at the news right now. How many people down in the southern states, or the whatever, southeast or whatever it is, you know, and in different parts of the world where there's like flooding and people's homes are being swept away. Like that energy is very, very, I want to say, cumulative and affecting all of us. That feeling that, you know, I want to say the transitory nature of our lives here on Earth. And this came up also for the forecast for this week, was like really kind of coming into welcoming our own mortality into our heart space and not trying to just ignore it anymore. And I think that's partly what we're going through collectively, is it's so in our faces now as well. Like, I believe a lot of the things we're seeing on the planet in terms of wars and even the climate changes and all this, I feel like these cycles have happened throughout our time here on Earth, but there's never been a time where we've all known so much of what's going on.
Well, that's exactly what I was just gonna say.
Mhm.
Like, this is the first time ever that we've been so aware beyond the expanse of just our own personal media realities and the grassroots of our communities and the surrounding areas. We're so expansively really seeing a lot of different perspectives as a part of our media reality all the time.
Yeah.
And that's when the discernment comes in. Like, am I meant to be coexisting with these perspectives and these realities that are coming in so quickly?
Beautiful. Thank you, Crystal.
Mm.
Okay, so should I
Libra,
lay out a wheel or not a wheel, a katina?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So while you're laying that out, I've just keep going on. So another card. So some of my cards are a little bit like unique and like intricate. So this is
Nice.
what it'll get into. As I already mentioned, so for today is the quantum physics of things, which I feel has been neglected and not really embraced enough because there's so much magic within it. So trying to make sense through actually looking at what's the science of what's happening within our bodies and how that's reflected in the outer world as technology steps up. So this one is transport layer security. So it is all the layers that the messaging goes through. It can be like a visual of what's in our brain, or it can be a visual of actually how technology works and how it pings off, it gathers information to get stronger. So it's like another layer to the discernment. This is when we get deep into it, but the word security is there because this is where we're keeping out all that dark energy that wants to hijack our our flow and our ideas and pull us away to another way of thinking. But instead, this is staying within the security parameters and we're keeping that focus where we need it. So that's what that one is.
Beautiful. Well, it's kind of similarly what we're seeing here. Now we're seeing the priestess coming up as us. The high priestess is us. She integrates the polarity. She holds that perfect balance, probably more than any other card, single card. Let's see if I can get her into, there we go.
Right.
More than any other card in the tarot. She is a major arcana card. She's the second major arcana card. Well, technically the third, if you call the Fool the first. And she's about holding duality in perfect balance and just being present with it, not trying to like do anything with that information, just being calm and expansive and large enough, I want to say, in spiritual evolution to not have to go into good, bad, right, wrong, black, white. She literally is sitting between the black and white poles.
Yeah.
The pillars, the black and white pillars. So that is us. We are growing to this place where that neutrality, we think of neutrality, I often think of it like Zen Buddhism or something, and it's like very almost like detached. And yet it's not, it's passive on some level, but it's very, very active, because the passive would be like, I just don't care. I'm not paying attention. You know, I'm not watching the news. I don't care what's going on with my neighbor. I'm just going to sit in this neutrality that is so detached. I'm hardly here on earth. But this is not that. This is, I'm going to hold space for all that is. And whatever information comes towards me, I'm going to kind of absorb it and hold it in this beautiful heart-centered neutrality. And it's forcing us, look at what do we need to know, as Ethan's question, collectively to be finding more balance is to come to that place of, you know, we don't have to I think, Anita, you were saying this too. We don't have to figure it all out right now.
I was saying it.
And Crystal was saying it.
But yes, you know, we're definitely, I just see there's a very childlike essence to this sun card always. And with this baby on the horse there, and not only is he riding the horse, but he's also like got his feet off the horse and he's got his hands off the horse. And it's very much just like, there's so much trust in that like almost childlike curiosity and innocence that we're coming at it. And it's kind of finding that balancing space between these realities that are so big that like we have to, there's the invitation to really honor, you know, what would that beautiful innocent being inside of me, how would they step forward into this, and what kind of an experience would they like to have? Because children dream in the most exquisite way, right? And bringing that kind of energy into it before we get programmed, before we get, you know, so sidetracked with all of these different realities, you know, there's that real knowing, that inner knowing in them.
Beautiful. Thank you, Crystal. And, you know, we've got here another child taking the information in, but in a childlike way, as Crystal was just saying, like not having to make a decision about it yet, just being open and then integrating it into because this is the past. Like we've learned a lot. We've taken in a lot of data. We're getting messages every day on our news feeds, on the truther channels. We're getting a lot of intel constantly. But if you can, instead of getting like, oh my God, this is the next biggest thing down the pipe, and oh my gosh, we got to make a big decision today. We got to take big action right now. It's like, this is coming in, I want to say, continual upgrades every day, more information, new information. And so to stay balanced in just grow bigger your ability to hold it and not have to immediately make a choice about what you're going to do with that information. And then go into the feeling realm. So we got the Queen of Cups in the present. Let the emotions bubble up, right? When I look at some of these, you know, I know that all the different narratives and the mainstream news and stuff, I know a lot of it is false flags and this, that, and the other, but still, even if it is false, I know there's a lot of people on the planet that are seeing it as real and really affected by that news, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel that reverb of the emotional wave that these pieces of news are creating. And I feel compassion for all of us going through all that. It's like riding these huge waves of information and just having our worldview shattered day after day after day after day, right? It's like, it's huge. And yet we've got in the potential future, Ethan, we've got the temperance, the balancing. Oh, look at that. The two cups merging. This temperance angel is literally pouring the healing waters between the two cups of polarity and in almost like transmuting. The truth emerges in a way that we don't really know yet. It's like all that information is going to get transmuted, alchemized, as Anita talks about in Heart Math. And the result is we're upgrading huge. It's giving us the freedom to break out of these old restricted ways of thinking about life in this very black and white way. The breaking that illusion is one of the hardest things that's humanity's ever going to tackle. And we're right in the middle of that right now. But it is really mind and heart, mind and heart, mind and heart.
And that is the balance. And I hear feeling is healing. And so there is space for all of it, for all of the emotions, and for honoring the medicine in all of it. Because sometimes those bigger emotions that are scary, our reactionary responses, the way that our immune systems, our nervous systems have been have been programmed to respond to these realities again and again and again. Like, we're honoring those feelings as they come up and then nurturing them like they are our inner children. This feeling is okay. You're beautiful no matter what. I love you. I've got you. You know, so that balance of like just equally honoring those hard emotions, like getting to celebrate those little wins and the really beautiful times as they come up too.
And everything has purpose. So when we're getting information coming at us, whether it's from the news or just our neighbors or friends and family, that riding those waves, as you're talking about, Crystal, that the emotions is where, you know, the feeling brings the healings. That's what we're going through. And so to not shy away from something that's triggered us, just look at what that is and be with that. And then we're all transmuting that energy. We're all alchemizing and creating. And that's why it's not coming faster so it doesn't knock us off our feet, or not too often, because it still can feel like that. But just, you know, the stuff that's coming out of Hollywood right now, that there's like ripples and waves. And even my kids are like, oh, that's so last year's news. And it's like, yeah, except for this is how it needs to be for people to actually pay attention when they're looking at figures that they've looked up to, and how music they listen to, or shows and movies they watch, and it's all getting challenged. And when we get challenged in that way, it's like, whoa, that what, it shouldn't even matter. That's out there. You know, remember, it's an inside job, but yet it does, because we've hooked some things on there, part of ourselves. So gathering back our own energy that we hooked on those things and be like, that's out there. Of course, we want healings and everyone to be safe and looked after. However, inside job means we acknowledge those feelings that are brought up for us in that, and allow more revelations to come through. We don't want to block them. We want that to flow still.
Yeah. And that's the balance, right? Are we spending just equally as much time as we are externalizing and focusing on the external realities as we are on our inner realities, and how we're working with everything that we're transmuting, intaking and transmuting? It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And it's funny hearing that next generation, they're like, oh yeah, whatever, because they're kind of sped up in the way that they intake, receive, and transmute information now. Whereas us, you know, these people that are coming out in Hollywood, they've been around in like much deeper ways for a lot of us that came up with these people and didn't really, you know, I mean, we kind of had awareness, but you know, I think it affects us a little bit differently than it does them. They're like, oh yeah, that's just another.
Yeah, and they're not, their identity isn't tied up with that. Yeah, so it's like,
very interesting.
Well, it's almost like we do create our own reality in the sense of we pay attention to what matters to us, and in that way, we are like that unicorn that you were talking about, Anita. Like we are. Each of us are attracted to certain reflections in the outer world as part, because we have that inside of us on some level. So that's why we all like slightly different shows and different music and different things that we seem to be drawn to, because it's reflecting something in us. And we're going to learn from these external, you know, things blowing up in our faces. We're like, whoa, that part of me, as you say, that I attached that part of me to that part of me is getting cleared. That part of me is being integrated. And, you know, in a way, we can thank all these people that take these roles. I often
these roles. Yes.
Right. Even within a family, with the people talk about the narcissist or the drug addict or the, you know, the token person that just went down the wrong path, and everybody's ashamed of that member of the family. And I'm like, well, that person is actually doing the hardest job. They're doing the heavy lifting for all of you. And instead of just shunning them and banishing them, it's not about opening your heart and letting them walk all over you, but it's, you know, you certainly need boundaries and protection for them and you, but it's really integrating the medicine of the lesson. You know, it's invariably, I talk about this with clients too, and with business, with your neighborhood. You know, every business is going to have like some some bad, challenging clients, right? It's along the bell curve. Every neighborhood is going to have that one family that are just like a piece of work. You just don't escape that, right? And so we are looking collectively out at all right now. There's a lot of what appears to be dysfunction and a lot of brokenness, but we've been carrying around all of this as a shadow reality for centuries. So we've got a lot of unpacking to do. We've got a lot of like clearing to do. But thankfully,
look at how beautiful
this.
It looks, though.
I mean, we've got also all the tools, all the medicines, all the ingenious human ways to adapt and grow and heal from here. That is also larger than it's ever been before. So,
all right,
let's go to questions.
Beautiful. I love it. Okay, so Baja Girl says, "Can we see this lunar eclipse in the northern United States and what time?" That's a bit of a technical question.
Yeah, I was going to say if anyone else has the answer, that would be really great because I don't know that we'll be able to draw cards on that, but it's a great question, and let us know when you get the answer. That would be awesome.
Please. And then Janice, is this mini second moon here until 11:25 connected to our Great Awakening reset?
Right. Mini second moon till November 25th. Okay, so let's just see. I mean, I'm almost getting a like unequivocally it's a yes, but how is it connected, maybe? And what would help us to know? I'm going to shuffle a bit there, Crystal.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can go with what's come through, and that's the green energy. So here we have the heart chakra energy coming through. So that feels like, yeah, that's our big awakening that's happening right now, lightening everything for us through that the heat and the fire of our hearts. So much power there to transmute energy and alchemize energy, right? We just
like that
charge
sun.
it up. Yes, exactly. And then moving into listen. So this card shows how that sends ripples and reverberations out when we spend time listening. What is being shown to us? What are the clues? So many of the cards will connect together in ways like, well, discernment requires listening. That's part of it. But listening coming in particular, that message is being mindful of the energy that you're putting out, that your signal is sending out, and what you're allowing in. You know, if that's not serving, if listening to the news is something that you want to be aware of what's going on, but when you listen, it brings your energy down. Maybe you need to shift to reading the news instead of listening to it, so that you're still aware, but you're, you want to know what's going on, and it could maybe just be headlines. So it is important to know what's happening in your community and the world abroad, whether that's because you have family and friends or because you like to hold energetic space for people going through some things. So what listening can be. And then moving into, here's one that's there. I have some action cards. This one's spiritual action. So because everything ideally is an action. Yes, it can be meditating, which is, somewhat sitting back, but it's really energetically embracing and getting deeper into what you're having awakened through you, as in this question, this great awakening that's happening, so that it's not just passive, or it isn't passive, although it might appear passive at times. So this is a great time to have really conscious breathing, which helps with expansion, helps you create and envision what you're moving into, because we are creating the world that we're moving into. Kind words to self and others. These are the little things that are just example action steps. It can be so much more.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Anita.
I heard listen by the light of the moon. And it's so sweet to think that we even have this, extra sprinkling of moon medicine coming down upon us, and as Mom said, how could that not be a part of our connected to our great awakening and reset? And so for us to get a little more curious at these times about what moon medicine is to each of us, and how to work with that, and how to spend some time listening by the light of the moon. I don't know.
Beautiful. Yeah, well, let's have a look at what we put down here. And before we do a look at these three, I'm being guided to show, oh, wow, the bottom and top of the deck here. And so we're looking at the energy of the month of November from basically October 22nd to about November 23rd. We are looking at the time where the sun is in the sign of Sagittarius. And the Sagittarius energy is a lot about its fierce sovereignty. It is, the courage and the revolution. So it is speaking truth. It's expansion. It's the planet ruled by the planet Jupiter, which is opening up, expanding. And look what we've got here. We've got this very, very dynamic king of fire, with the militaristic law and order kind of guy underneath. So we are, this is the reset for sure. This is the great awakening and the reset, and, being sort of forced through this. We're going through a death. And it reminds me of when you think about, if you've ever lived in a community where there have been natural disasters or power outages or whatever, and there's something that causes people to work together. And I've been in this situation a few times in my life where there's been something that shut the whole system down. And what's amazing is that you meet your neighbors. People come out and they care, right? We've got this King of Cups as the potential outcome here. And it is about coming into a deep, deep state of emotional maturity. It's kind of like people just grow up overnight, is what I'm hearing. It brings out either the worst in humanity or the best, but more often than not, it brings out the best.
And sometimes the worst is just a way to get to your best. Like,
yes.
Because I'm my worst self at least once a day, and then the best comes out, and I'm like, whoa, okay.
You're like, I'm so glad I pushed myself right up to my edge and almost knocked myself over, because
and I've kind of been in contemplation in some of my meditations in the morning right now, and I oftentimes will Mom and I counsel each other, and throughout the years I've been like, don't worry, Mom, because you're going through this right now, and this is how you get to the good stuff, on the other side of these crazy days that feel so overwhelming and like you just can't possibly figure your way out of it or survive it. The other side of that are these most incredible, most powerful, beautiful, exquisite days and exquisite moments. And I was just like tuning in with that this morning, being like, well, there's a lot of those really heavy days coming in. And then I started sort of feeling into what could this new earth feel like, where eventually on the other side, we start to come back into the balance of, wow, we really, really went through it again and again and again. And maybe we get to have maybe a whole week in a row where we maybe don't go through anything so much.
Or like a year, a decade.
Just feeling into, is that what we're doing right now? Is actually really going through it to get to that new earth, or the great reset, and that this great awakening that's happening. And it feels intense. And Mom comes to me every time when she's like, it's true. It happened again. I just feel so good. And you said it was going to be on the other side of that.
To say, Crystal is absolutely right about this. And from the time she was a little girl, she held that kind of wisdom. She knew somehow she would just put things in that deep heart-centered perspective. And so resist taking this opportunity. Here we are just past midpoint to say, if you would like to book a session with one of these two or both of these two amazing healers, intuitives, readers, coaches, spiritual guides, please check out the links below. We still have our sale on for a while longer. We might be extending it a little bit more about that next week, but check out that there's coupon codes and the links to book a session with either Crystal and or Anita. And what they bring to these sessions is extraordinary. You know, each of us as readers, as healers, as guides, we all bring different medicine, and you can just tune into the messages that are being shared here and recognize, oh yeah, I would really appreciate getting some of that natural wisdom that these people carry. And, you know, I know that Anita and Crystal both have spent years developing these skills so that they can share them with others. So this is a very special moment of transformation that we're going through. And this card here, that's our potential future, the King of Cups, is a counselor, a healer, a spiritual guide, a way shower, as Anita says. So this is a time where if you feel inclined to reach out and get support, it could be an extraordinary, you know, this month, talking about between now and the 25th of November, could be a powerful time to work within yourself to do some of this extraordinary healing and clearing so that you can turn the page to that bright next wave and not be as emotionally lost or overwhelmed in the process. So
thank you, Ashala. And yes, we were looking at extending it a little bit because there has been so much energetic need, has been the feeling of that everyone is looking for that support in this balanced of body, mind, spirit way. You know, not in a way that traditional counseling does, or in you know, even like going to the gym, all these things that are really important for our self-care. But so we're looking at extending that a little bit because our energy has been so full as well, and so busy and scheduled that we're just like, well, we know, and we're hearing it from our clients. So it would be really great if we can extend the offering just a little bit longer so people can find that alignment with us. So
yeah, we'll discuss that amongst ourselves and let you know next week about what that's going to look like, everybody. So I just want to quickly check in with a couple of comments here. Alexandra, thank you for your comment that I recited the Access Consciousness Manifesto, LOL. So I would like to know more about that, Alexandra. If you're still here, just maybe give us a little, if you've got a link or something where we can find out more about that, because that's pretty cool. I have no knowledge of what that is, but that sounds awesome. Hi,
hello,
Andrea, Ricky, welcome. Lovely to see you. And Sylvia,
welcome, Sylvia,
super to see you all. So did we have another question coming in here? I don't think we have any more questions.
Okay.
So maybe we're going to, unless you guys jump in and put something up there, maybe we'll sign off early. We do have some things to meet on and discuss, the three of us. And yeah, we are looking forward to doing lots more of these weekly Q&As. Aw, thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Sylvia. And yeah, supporting, you know, for us, oh, look at that. There's our King of Wands at the top of the pile. For us, this is so supportive because every week when you bring your questions, it leads our exploration in unique directions. And I feel like there's no mistake in that. It's not just this random coincidence that we end up going in this direction based on the questions you bring. So please do not hesitate to put your questions up, because you can be part of that sharing that we're going through here together week by week. Have a beautiful week, everybody.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for being here.